Okay, welcome back everyone. Here we are with an amazing, extraordinary, and very powerful athlete. A woman that uses her mind, body, and spirit to achieve amazing things and share with others. I am so happy and grateful that Shana Myers is here with us today to share so much wisdom and so much power behind what she does. Welcome, Shana. How are you?
Hi, I'm wonderful. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Oh my God, I was telling you just a few minutes before we started how amazingly powerful you are with your body, with your mind, and your spirit. And you combine those three things to achieve uh, those poses at strength. And you make it, I mean, when we watch you, it feels it's so easy. How do you do that?
Well, I practice 2 hours a day, so I'm not sure that easy is the word. I've been practicing basically daily for 19 years. So if it looks easy, it might be because there's a little work behind it. I am a firm believer that if you want to succeed at anything, you got to put in the sweat equity. Uh, so, but honestly, I guess if I really wanted to answer why does it look easy, part of the answer is it's not, and part of the answer is it is. My approach to yoga, quite honestly, is a lot more intelligent than most. So I think of things not as end results. And by the way, this is a great way to live your life, but that everything isn't about end results, but processes. And also the intelligence of building from the ground up. And so what I'm really doing is looking for the efficiency of movement instead of just the raw power. And it's so funny to me when people are like, oh, well, I can't do that because I'm not strong enough. I'm like, it's not about strong. It's about efficient. You have to learn to move your body in ways that the balance compensates for the strength. So there's a natural balance to everything in life, Yoga is no exception. And so when you seek the natural balance instead of forcing what you think the balance is supposed to be, it does start to come more easily.
Yes, I love what you said that this is more about the process than about the end result.
Yeah.
And so that means that if we are doing a little bit better than yesterday, stretching a little bit more, getting a little bit more stronger, that should be enough to keep going and to feel motivated, right?
Well, yes and no. I think that people get discouraged when they're like, oh, well, yesterday I could touch my toes and today I could only touch my knees, or yesterday I could do this handstand and today I can't do it. And again, like the concept of it better every day, I like in theory. But honestly, the way that I look at life is go to your edge every day and then push on it. Because our edges are going to shift every day, right? There's going to be days where something's going to be really easy. I mean, if I want to use my yoga as a metaphor for my life, right? There are poses that some days I can do in my sleep. And then I'll wake up the next day and not only can't I do it, but I won't be able to do it for like months. And it's like, what happened? And I don't know, but every day you just got to go to your edge and understand that your edges are dynamic. And especially in these trying times, there are no hard edges. Things are very, very blurry, right?
Yeah, I read something that you wrote that is mentioning the importance to have, you say exactly, you are as strong as you believe you are. So, and I'm connecting that with your living your edge, go to your edge every day. Some days you're going to be there, you're going to have it, you're going to be like, you're going to have it all. And some days you're not. So you can build that strength if you believe you can, right?
Mm-hmm. It's absolutely true. I mean, the people who come to me with the attitude that they can do anything, far and away, do so much better than the people who come and believe they can't do anything. Even regardless of natural raw skill, so much like I do believe, and I really learned this from my practice, that your brain is your strongest muscle. Your brain dictates everything. It dictates your success and it dictates your failure. And among other things, it dictates your definition of success and failure. When I say to somebody, give me a pose, I could do it. Give me any pose in the entire world. It doesn't mean I could do it this second. Sometimes I have to put in a decade of work. I kid you not. I have poses that I have practiced for a decade with zero progress. And then one day I'm like, oh, and got it. And, you know, I knew I could do it. I can do it. It's just that it may not be right now.
Oh my God, I love that. And I wonder, is yoga different from any other sports? Does it require more,
Oh,
or it's
yes. Yes. I mean, yoga is different from every other sport. It's not really a sport, it's a science. I actually come from a conventional athletic background. So I was like an all-state tennis player in high school and a soccer player and a softball player. And after college, I was the mayor of the gym. I used to wake up, God help me, at 4 a.m. to go to the gym for 3 to 4 hours before work every day. And so why did I give up all sports for yoga? Well, yoga has the philosophical element that no other practice has. It's a practice. It's not a sport. It's really not a sport. And I think that this is like a problem with the way that yoga is presented in the West, because people do see it as a sport like gymnastics or say like dance, right? Because it sort of seems to lie somewhere between gymnastics and dance, or Pilates. And the truth is that it's none of those things, because there's a long history of Vedic text, of philosophy that builds the practice. And for anyone who doesn't know, asana, which are the postures, are a tiny, 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 tiny piece of yoga. I'll argue that they're the smallest and least important part of yoga, because yoga, honestly, I don't want to get all like woo woo with you, but it's a pathway to enlightenment. That's what yoga is. And so in the West, we seem to have distilled it down, as we do so well in the West, to what we do with our bodies. But yoga is about what we do with our hearts and our souls.
wow. I love to parallel that with life, because
Yeah.
it's maybe yoga kind of represents what you can do with your mind, practicing with your body. And in life is what you can do with your mind to achieve things in your life. So it's like, okay, you can practice with your body, the power of your mind.
Exactly. But you know what else? Like, so there are many, many, many different kinds of yoga and many different levels, right? You don't have to be able to do a handstand or the crazy contortions that I do to be a yoga practitioner. I don't use the word yogi, because a yogi is a monk. Okay. It's somebody who has dedicated his or her life, like a yogi or yogini, to this broad practice. And I've met one ever, and that was my teacher, Sri Dharma Mitra, who's the only person I would consider to be a yogi that I've ever met in my life. And I know just about every primary yoga teacher, in the world on some level. So let's put that in perspective. But the handstands and the contortions and all the really crazy, crazy stuff, what it teaches you is patience and perseverance and focus, and in how to put your mind and your body in the same place. And the lessons of the practice are not the physical results of the practice, right? But again, that process is just so much about the depth of what it takes. And to that extent, I could argue that anytime your mind, body, and spirit are in alignment, you're in a state of yoga. So it could be Serena Williams or a runner or anyone. I'm like trying to think of a basketball player. Of course, like the only one I could think of is Kobe Bryant, because I don't follow basketball at all. But when an athlete is in their zone, you could honestly argue that they are in a state of yoga. Yoga literally means union.
Okay, so that's a mindset. That
Yes.
it's a state of, of of mindset that will help you build your character, because
Yeah.
we need that patience that we need for
Yeah.
many areas of our life. If we build that perseverance,
Yes.
if we build that focus, those are character traits that are so powerful.
Exactly.
That
Exactly.
if you can use them, and because there you will exercise them, those muscles, those character trait muscles, you'll exercise with this practice, and then you can, put them in practice in any other area of your life successfully.
Exactly. I mean, yoga truly is a microcosm of your life, and what you bring to the mat is what you bring to the world.
And do you think this is what is first? You need to have a certain mindset to start practicing this, or once you start practicing, you will develop that mindset?
The latter, if you have the right teacher. So I have to be honest that a lot of like yoga today is really just like what you were saying, sport is just people either wanting to take pictures for Instagram or look better in their bikini or whatever it is, or get a workout, right? You're not going to achieve spiritual depth or enlightenment because you happen to go to your workout and they call it yoga, right? If you want to get to the greater depths, you either need to have a teacher who takes you there, or you can study the text on your own. But again, I think that like a lot of people, just practice as a workout, and they're like, oh, you changed my life, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, well, how is it different from going to the gym for you?
Yes, and that was one question I had.
Yeah.
It's not like going to the gym. That it's a great difference. This is not a workout. This is like a holistic practice that will
Yeah.
build your whole self up.
Yeah.
And always, not only your body, because of course you're going to force it, you're going to train it, but also
Yeah.
your mind and
Yep.
your spirit. Because when you are focused on something, you're not thinking about your problem, you're not thinking about work, you're not thinking about
Right.
economy, you're just focused, so
Yeah.
that you allow your whole self to expand. And I love this approach you're sharing with us. And what
Yeah.
effects on our self-esteem if that is going on?
I'm sorry, say again, please.
What do you think are the positive ripple effects on our self?
Oh, well, again, it depends on how classically you're studying, because in the true yoga tradition, there's nothing to accomplish. There's no such thing as failure. Okay. So, but we have what are called like our yamas and our niyamas, which are the 10 commandments of yoga. And two of the niyamas, which is how we deal with ourselves, are santosha, which is contentment, which you must always have, and tapas, which is fire. Okay. And these two things are right next to each other in this list of, I'll call them commandments for lack of they're really observances and abstentions. So what is santosha, contentment, without tapas, fire? It's complacency. And yoga has no room for complacency. But what is santosha, contentment, with tapas, fire. It's always trying your best and always accepting the result. It's extraordinarily empowering. I would go as so far as to say the whole reason why I gave up my career in like the real world to teach yoga was because of the very aspects of self-esteem. Because can I give you a little background on where I come from?
Yes.
So as a child, I was very much like the golden child, right? Like, you know, straight AP student, captain of all the teams. I won every award on a school, state, national level that you could possibly win. I could do no wrong. Oh, until I didn't get into Stanford. And my whole world came crashing down because I had never failed before. And this was my greatest failure, right? This was what it was all about. This is why I worked so hard for the first 17 years of my life, was to go to Stanford. And they're like, oh yeah, no, we don't want you. And it was so devastating that from 17, when I was a senior in high school, until just before my 30th birthday, when I discovered yoga, I thought I was worth nothing. I truly believed for 13 years that I was worth nothing, that my life was worth nothing, and that I was a total failure. I walked into yoga class on a weird whim. Didn't really want to be there, but I went. And it was the first time in my life that anyone told me it was okay to fail. And it changed my life instantly. I didn't have to go back 100 more times for it to sink in. That day, my life changed. And I don't blame my parents for this. Every time I say this, I always feel bad. Like everybody's going, oh my God, she must have the worst parents in the world. It's quite the opposite. As a kid, I became a praise junkie, you know, because I succeeded at everything. So it was like, oh, Shana did this, Shana did that, Shana won this, Shana that. And it's not that they ever told me I had to, but it feels good when you're the middle child, you know, to be like, yeah, you know, Shana, she's our girl, you know, like, and you just, you snowball into this cycle of achievement.
Yes, your self-worth was tied with success.
That's right.
So the day you didn't get what you were expecting to get, you lost yourself. You lost your worth. It was in your mind, everything. And that day at that yoga class, you had like this permission to fail. You're okay, you're worth it. You have the right to fail.
It was such an epiphany. It seems so silly. And honestly, that is why I started Mini Yogis, my kids program, which back in 2002, the idea of yoga for kids was considered to be quite ridiculous at the worst and extraordinary at the best. Nobody was doing it back then. Now it's ubiquitous. I mean, everybody teaches yoga to kids now, but back then it was a brand new concept. And the reason I did it was I was like, you're telling me this and I'm 30 years old. Why didn't anyone tell me this when I was 3?
Oh my God, I can so relate with that and your story, because I think that happens to all of us that learn something amazing that transforms our lives, that gives us a perspective that is like enlightening. Then the first thing you want to do when you learn something is, I want to teach my little ones how different everything would have been if I had learned. And that's why that was my exact motivation with the superhero programs. You know, when I learned so many things that helped me achieve business success during the last 20 years and built so many amazing things. And I said, oh my God, I want my daughters to know and learn this. So that's the motivation to go to your kids. And
Right.
I now want you to share, how do kids respond to that? Because with what I'm doing, kids, I've learned that kids are like natural. Those are the true infinite beings.
Yeah.
How do kids respond to yoga? What have you experienced in all these years? Because you were the pioneer in this.
Yeah, I've worked with thousands of kids, and I have to be honest that almost everyone eats it up. I Yoga is a very sort of natural practice, and kids seem to respond to it on a visceral level. As soon as they try it, they seem to automatically like absorb it. And I like working with, well, I work with all ages, but of course the younger kids are more malleable, right? So I like, the older kids get, sometimes they get more jaded to the messages. Like, I see in some of my teens that I work with, me as a teen, when I tell them there is no failing, it doesn't matter if you fall as long as you get back up, they're like, that's not true. That's not how the world works, you know, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, I could talk myself blue in the face, but I understand I was that age too. And there's no way I would have believed that. And that's why I like talking mostly to younger kids. Every once in a while, I do get a teen who is really receptive to the messages. But the most powerful are the kids who I get to see grow up, who I start working with around 5, 6, 7, and I work with them all the way through their teenage years. And I have to say, they are all accomplishers. They are all standouts. They are all hard workers. They're all good citizens. They're people who take pride in who they are as human beings and in the work that they do. One of the main messages I give my kids is, remember that everything you do in life, everything you do, no matter how big or small, has your name on it. So don't do anything that you don't want people to say he or she did it that way. And take that excellence into everything that you do and own that. And it's amazing to see how some of my, I could talk to you about some kids that I actually work with if you're interested, but to see how they blossom as humble yet self so they have strong self-esteem, but it's very well tempered with their humility.
Yes,
it's just beautiful to
they're
watch.
tapped into their true beings. I agree that human beings are innately wonderful, good beings. And when we tap into that, we are able to unleash our potential and do good to ourselves, to others, and to the world. And I get it. When you say these kids, I can see them, you know, being empowered. And when they're empowered, it's not like they are out there mean with anybody. They are vulnerable, they're kind, they're soft, they're beautiful, but they are also powerful, and they're also achievers, and they're also focused, and it's where you combine the best of the best traits that we can put into a human being. If that is what you're achieving, you're doing so much good to this world, Shana.
It's been amazing. And I was just thinking this morning that most of my not all, but most of my most extraordinary kids that I've worked with have been boys, which goes contrary to what you would imagine. And I was thinking, why is that? I work privately. I work one-on-one exclusively. So a lot of boys would be too embarrassed to go to a class, say. So for them to work with me privately, you know, they could really invest themselves in the process. But I think it's sort of that Billy Elliot concept of, when you stop worrying about what the world thinks about you and instead do something simply because you think it's fabulous, then that's when you really, really thrive.
Yes.
And I see, you know, I work with a lot of the boys I work with. a lot of them are very, very tough athletic boys. You know, they're not, you know, your typical dancer, say, or gymnast. Like, these are boys who are in sports, but understand that, or their parents understood, at least in the beginning, that got them to the class, you know, that the yoga can really bring them deeper into all of the really the highest achievement, right, that they could possibly want in their sports.
That is great that you share that. Great, 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 because that is a way that if parents can motivate their kids to cultivate this type of practice. Wow, you are really giving them so many tools and skills to thrive in life. Um,
Yeah.
and you're a high achiever. With what you have been telling us, what I have read about you, and you have this beautiful program besides, because this is all mindset, and I can see that you get the power of your mind
Right.
to do things and to achieve things and to grasp those goals. You have this poem living
Yeah.
method, which is personal organization, empowerment, and motivation. What is the secret behind that? What is that framework? Can you share with us why you framed all that?
Well, I mean, the funny thing is, like, when you take the poem, and the organization, I know, is the word that seems like it doesn't really fit in the rest of it, right? Because empowerment, motivation, organization. So really, my whole concept is that every day you need to have a plan to move forward in your life. Every day you need to be moving forward. Otherwise, you're stagnating, right? There's no way to grow in life within your comfort zone, right?
Yeah.
So my thing, like, it starts with organizing your life. Literally, like, here is my day, and this is what I'm doing each day that's going to take me towards my goals. Of course, first we have to define the goals. Now, I'm not a coach. I'm not a certified coach. Because I've always been somebody who believes that the greater gifts that you can give to the world are innate, right? Either you have it or you don't, right? I went to business school, and sort of against my
Instinct.
general instinct, yeah, because I'm like, either you know how to run a business or you don't know how to run a business. And in the middle of business school, where I was learning nothing that was relevant to anything other than accounting, really, it wasn't teaching me how to be a good business person. It wasn't teaching me anything. I started my own business and mini yogis and YOGAthletica, and became very successful very quickly, and realized that the MBA was serving nothing but my ego. It wasn't giving me anything. And same with, even when I work with kids, I work with special needs primarily. And whether it's severe special needs or lighter special needs, but I have no special needs training. It's all instinct. It's all my ability to look at what's in front of me, connect with the individual, and then create a program. And the results have been extraordinary and profound. But my problem with things, so going back to poem living with labels like coach, is these are people who are actually studying how to help people. And to me, I feel like that's something that just you're born with, right? And I never believe that any human being is a textbook. And that's always been my thing. Like, when I work with special needs kids, I've had extraordinary results. But I've also had parents who have said, oh, well, that's not what their therapist says you should be doing. I'm like, if you want to hire me, I'm going to make a difference in your kid's life. But if you want me to go by that textbook, it's not going to happen. This is a human being, and it has to be personalized. So that was very roundabout. So poem living, it's similar to coaching, but really it's much more just personal connection and how to move forward in your life.
Why did you combine organization? Why organization? Why motivation? Why empowerment? I mean, just like two words about why did you find those four words and the power of blending them?
Because I believe that if your life is not organized, there's no way to move forward on your path. I know there's more than two words, but it's not a lot of words. But one thing that people have always remarked about me is I return every email, every phone call, I complete every task every day, period. There's no, I'll get back to you in a week, or I may or may not get back to you. To me, my life is organized in a way that not only does everything get done, but it gets done in a way that respects the person who's in front of me.
Wow.
You take the time to write to me, to call me, to contact me, I get back to you. If I want to do something, like, I know this sounds crazy, go to the grocery store. When you have a life like mine, I have to think the day before or 3 or 4 days in advance and be like, there's the window where I can go to the grocery store. And the organization, when you understand how to organize your life, it takes a whole lot of stress out, because we all know what it feels like to be rushing somewhere or afraid you're going to be late. I am never late for anything ever.
Yeah.
And you know what that does for my mental state?
You can drive your life instead of being a leaf in the wind, you know, going where everybody goes, whatever comes up in your life, and you're dancing that song. No, you have control. I agree. And then you achieve, you're more efficient with everything you're doing. Shana, oh my God, thank you with everything you're sharing with us. I have one last question for you.
Yeah.
And I'm eager to listen. You have so much wisdom, and I feel you speak from all those years of being connected. If something really, really challenging happened to you, and kind of happened to you, how would you rebuild yourself in 30 days?
Right. Well, I hope it wouldn't take 30 days, but the first thing that I always come back to whenever I have a major setback is you have to understand that you are the same person today as you were yesterday. You're the same person on your worst day as you are on your best day, right? If I were to suddenly, like, okay, so I'm 49, I am single as single can be, and I have been forever. If I were to go out and meet some guy in a mask and fall in love and everything's great, it doesn't mean that I'm a different person or a better person than I was 5 minutes before I met that person who so many people think they need to, like, validate them. So the first thing that I need to do is always go back to, you were great yesterday, something terrible happened, you're the same person. Carry that. Number 2, keep on keeping on, period. No excuses. I think about, like, my daily practice, which is basically 2 hours a day of really, really challenging yoga. And I do it every day. I don't care if I can barely drag myself out of bed because, you know, let's say something just knocked the wind out of me. I get on my mat and I do my whole practice. I don't back down. I don't back off. It is the full Monty. With me, if you're not putting forth everything you have every day, you're not getting where you need to go. And so that is like my daily reminder, no matter what things are looking like, how strong I am and how competent I am. I always have to have, like, a game plan. So believe me, I, like everybody, I've had some big setbacks, and of course, COVID. I used to earn 50% of my money traveling the world and teaching all over the world. That's gone. That's 50% of my income. So I needed to sit down and come up with an instant game plan and have actionable items every day. Every day you have to move forward just a little bit, because eventually you get where you need to go to get back on your feet.
I love I love that. I mean, don't let yourself be unmotivated. You don't let yourself stay there, like lay down and just breathe.
Yeah.
No.
Right. But at the end of the day, I have to say, like, in COVID times, I have been either taking a hot bath or I have a sauna. So I've been either doing one of those for about an hour every day, but only at the end of the day and after I do everything that needs to be done. And if I'm feeling unmotivated and sluggish, it's like, I don't care. You need to do X, Y, Z, and then you earn your bath,
You
right?
are.
So it's like
I mean, I
one
get it
important
because
thing.
you
Yeah,
that toughness that to do what it takes,
yeah,
do what it takes, and many of us, I think that sometimes are too uh, easy peasy
yeah.
with
I think
ourselves.
that
I mean,
I,
we let us off the hook too easily, and I think that's what I'm rescuing from this conversation. I mean, don't let yourself off the hook that easily. I mean, go for it, try it. You can do it. I mean, you will see that you're able to. You have it.
yeah. Yeah, for sure. And, I think there's a time and place for everything. I think that, again, like take the bath, take the sauna, take the walk. I go for walks a lot or bicycle rides just to get out in the world again and get some air and get some sun. But there's a time and a place for everything. And this self-care movement, I think, is great to the extent that people are learning that if you don't take care of yourself, you won't have anything to give. But it can also go too far where it becomes either selfish or lethargic, right? So we need to, like you say, everything is a balance. And also, when I'm feeling like crazy overwhelmed or the world is, feeling it is defeating me, I talk a lot. I just talk to my friends, I talk to my family, and I listen, right? I let them give them my feedback, but you also have to be willing to be vulnerable. And I
Yes.
think that's a hard lesson because a lot of people feel like they always have to be strong for the world around them. And honestly, that is an equation for explosion, right? If you just keep bottling up and bottling it up. So you got to let it go, right? You got to feel what you feel. And that might take more than 30 days. I wish that I had the magical 30-day formula because I've had things that have taken me more than 30 days, but every day, instead of wallowing in it or letting it consume me, I'm like, how can I deal with this? Whether it's through meditation, whether it's through my practice or walking or talking or listening or getting out and doing something about it. Remember the movie The Secret?
Yes.
Right? And it was like, oh my God, all I have to do is wish and believe that money's going to fall from the sky, and it's going to fall from the sky. So it was such a great movie, but it forgot to tell you, you got to do the work if you want to get the results. And so that's always my thing. When things knock me down, I just start scraping my way back up.
Wow, good. I loved it. I absolutely think that what you have just shared is so powerful. It's so down to earth. And I love the perspective of, okay, give yourself a break, but just a very little, tiny, tiny, small one.
Yeah. Well,
And move your butt. I mean, that part was like,
yeah.
because
You
you
know,
know what? Because it calls to our own power. We can do more, and we're not taking advantage of that thing we have in there, that force of that strength, and we're just not using it because we are kind of being a little bit lazy on it, or just like lethargic. I love that word that you use, and we're in a
yeah.
bad situation. The world is in crisis. There's nothing we can do, and then you lose your power. You give
Yeah.
it away. You don't lose it. You give it away. You just let go of it, and I mean, It's not fair. We shouldn't do that with our own selves and with our kids and with the people around us when we really have the power to do amazing things no matter the circumstances.
And I have to say also, just as like, I know we're running out of time, but also like faith plays a really big role in my life as well. I did have something just devastating happen to me emotionally about 4 years ago, and I signed up for Torah classes, and just studying the Torah, just, you know, just reading Bible, whether even when there were stories that didn't necessarily apply to like me at that moment, but returning to faith was just a real anchor for me, and has been even during this pandemic. I started doing this thing in mid-April, which is daily prayers for anybody who's passed from this pandemic, or even during the pandemic, because a lot of them can't have proper burials or funerals or memorials, and it's very sad. But having those prayers every day has really, I do it on Facebook every day, has really helped to also just ground me and remind me that I am just a spark in a great, great flame, and that there's just so much potential in this world and so much hope.
Thank you for reminding us of that. And you said it at the beginning and you wrapped it up beautifully right now, that we pay too much attention to the physical and we're not giving the same importance to the dimension of our spirit, of our faith, of our higher selves. So I think you just nailed it with that. And I want to close this interview with that beautiful words. Shana, thank you so much. You're so inspiring. I never practiced yoga, but I really feel compelled, and I want to go, and like, because
you know where to find me.
And because of the exercise, but what it will represent to me. I want to go through that process. I want to see how I push myself through that perseverance, through that confidence, through that, and also to start seeing the results in the physical realm. But yeah, love it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm very grateful with your time, with your wisdom, and with your warm-hearted sharing us all of this.
Thank you. It's been my distinct pleasure. Thank you so much for including me.